Hello everyone and welcome to 10 amazing things that you can do in the heart of Wales. In this video we've got historic sites, pretty towns, hidden gems, beautiful coastlines and much more. And incidentally, all of the locations in this video would actually make for the perfect mid-Wales road trip. So I'm going to go in order, starting in the east and heading all the way to the coastline in the west, finishing off with one of my favourite locations, not just in mid-Wales, but Wales in general. So make sure you stay tuned and let's begin. So our adventure begins in the Elan Valley, known for its 7 Victorian dams, the oldest of which actually began construction back in 1893. Some of my favourites are firstly Crib Goch, which you will see as you approach the Elan Valley from the visitors centre, so it's always that first dam that just kind of blows your mind. But that is actually one of the smallest ones here. I also want to mention the hidden gem of Nant-y-Gro, which was a dam that was destroyed during World War II in order to test out a prototype of the bouncing bomb. And of course I have to mention the monolithic Claerwen dam, which is almost 1,200 feet long and my personal highlight of the Elan Valley. Just a 15-minute drive from here we can find Rhayader, which is actually described as the gateway to the Elan Valley, but it is so much more. It's a bustling market town with a serene river walk and even the earthworks of an old castle. And continuing on our journey whilst we head to our next stop, we'll also come across a real hidden gem along the way, and that is the Cwmwystwyth Mines. This was once a thriving lead mine, one of many in the area, and now this entire valley is just littered with the reminders of the industrial heritage of Wales. This one's actually a bit special to me because I stumbled on these ruins with my family when I was probably around 6 years old. And over the years I watched the buildings slowly decaying, but recently I visited again and was very pleasantly surprised that this area is now being recognised for the important site that it is, and is finally getting the care and attention it deserves. Next up is the folklore-steeped Devil's Bridge. You may have heard of this before because it's such an iconic bridge and it offers breathtaking views of the surrounding valley with its waterfalls cascading down the cliffs. The walk down the many steep steps is incredible to do, but just beware that you do have to walk up again. Now the uphill begins, Ellie.
My knee hurts.
But upon closer inspection, you will notice that there's not one, but actually 3 bridges here, all built on top of each other, and the oldest of which likely dates back to the 12th century, having been built by monks. So we're almost over at the coast now, but here's a real hidden gem for the nature lovers. This is a hiking paradise that's actually famous for its red kite feeding, which they do every single day. So if you visit at the right time, you can see hundreds of red kites flying around and swooping down to grab their food. And the panoramic view of the coastline and Aberystwyth is absolutely mind-blowing. And speaking of Aberystwyth, let's go there next. This vibrant university town offers a mix of culture, history and seaside charm all in one. I do actually have a full video from Aberystwyth, so I will link that down in the description if you want to see many more things to do in this town. But for the purposes of this video, I will just tell you a few of my personal favourites. The first of which is Aberystwyth Castle. These historic ruins date back to the 13th century and offer some of the best views up the Aberystwyth promenade, which, if we begin to walk up, we'll eventually stumble upon the Ceredigion Museum, which is a very interesting museum that's very easy to miss, but it tells the history of the entire area and it's all housed inside an old theatre, which in itself is beautiful. There are just so many interesting artifacts in this building and the stories of each of them must be incredible. And finally, in Aberystwyth, we can walk to the tip of the Royal Pier. And from the tip of it, you will see the large hill in the distance over there. You know, the one you definitely wouldn't want to walk up. But we are walking up it because our next stop is Clarach Bay. It's a lovely little beach with beautiful views, but there's actually a coastal path that you can take from Aberystwyth to get here. But it does involve you walking over that kind of steep hill, but honestly it's worth it in my opinion. It takes around 45 minutes, but the views both up and down the Welsh coastline from the top are astounding. Next, let's continue our journey down the coast, and we're heading to Newquay. The town itself is one of the best kind of Welsh coastal towns, I think, but also it's a haven for dolphin watching, so there are so many opportunities for you to get a boat trip out, see if you can see any dolphins. It's time. What's your review of the dolphin tour so far?
Well, we haven't seen any so far, but the boat ride is nice.
We didn't actually see any on our trip. Maybe it was the wrong time of year, or they just weren't feeling it that day, but the calm waters and relaxing boat ride made for a very enjoyable time nonetheless. Next up is Llangrannog, which is a beautiful small bay that's perfect for a dip in the sea, but it also offers a hike to one of my favourite places in not just mid Wales, but Wales in general, the one that I mentioned at the start of the video. The walk will take you around 1 hour hiking along this stunning coastline before you will see Ynys Lochtyn. This small peninsula offers some of the most magnificent coastal scenery in Wales. The views are spectacular, and at sunset it is a true paradise on earth, peaceful and untouched. For the more adventurous of you, you can actually walk all the way to the tip of Ynys Lochtyn. It does involve a little bit of climbing, and do be aware of the tide, as I think the end gets cut off at high tide, but in my opinion it's worth every bit of effort just to say that you've been right to the end. From here, on the walk back to Llangrannog, you will actually pass a bit of a hidden gem called Cilborth Beach. It's accessible only via these steep steps, but it's a perfect spot for a quick dip in the sea. But don't worry, because if you walk down but don't want to have to walk back up again, you can actually walk around the headland through the sea to get back to Llangrannog Bay, which we had a very fun time trying to navigate that with all of our stuff. Okay, one final stop now as the sun begins to set, and we can't miss the enchanting Tresiath Waterfall. This waterfall is a natural spectacle that cascades directly onto the beach. The walk to the waterfall is an adventure in itself, with a short scramble over these rocks. And the area is just such a tranquil spot to admire the coastal cliffs, enjoy the sound of falling water, and watch the waves wash over the untouched golden sand. So this concludes my 10 things to do in mid-Wales. As I said back at the start of the video, this would make for a perfect road trip. And in fact, last year we did do this exact road trip. I will actually link my playlist here, which documents our road trip in much more detail. So if you do want to see exactly what we did, when we did it, feel free to watch that. So thank you for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. If you did, please do subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.